Blessed be the fruit, my friends, because today we received a gift. And what is that gift? After months and months of waiting, we finally received the full trailer for the new series, The Testaments. If you're not familiar with what that is, The Testaments was written by Margaret Atwood. It was her 2019 sequel to the incredible series, The Handmaid's Tale. The Testaments novel is set 15 years after the events of The Handmaid's Tale. It follows and is narrated by three primary characters. Aunt Lydia, who we all know from the original Handmaid's Tale series, is nearing the end of her life and recounting the events that led to the takedown of Gilead. Another character that the novel follows is Agnes, who we also know from the original series as June's daughter. Agnes is played by Chase Infinity, who you may also know from One Battle After Another and Presumed Innocent. We're now introduced to Agnes as a teenager and navigating Gilead while becoming a woman. And finally, the third person that the novel follows, her name is Daisy. She's a seemingly normal girl growing up in Toronto with her parents, Neil and Melanie, who own a secondhand clothing shop, until one day, everything changes. Okay, I know I said previously that typically if a show is based off of a book, I'm probably not going to read the book until after the series so that I can have surprises. However, this is a case where immediately when The Handmaid's Tale ended, I really didn't want to wait any longer. I grabbed that book and read the Testaments as quickly as possible. I probably read it so fast that I missed some stuff. So upon seeing this trailer, I even realized, like, I gotta go back and refresh my memory on some of these things. You guys, I am so excited for this show and to be able to finally talk about it and theorize what's gonna happen. The novel itself felt pretty quick. Some critique on the novel to me that it was a little less anticlimactic than what I was hoping it would be, but I really, really still loved the story. I love the characters, their relationship, the sisterly bond, getting to see Lydia's story really come to fruition. Lydia was such a challenging character in The Handmaid's Tale. It took me a very long time to even really appreciate her. And of course, by the time the show ended, it was like this kind of love-hate relationship where I didn't necessarily want to see anything bad happen to the character, but I also had been so burned by her behavior that the good things she was doing didn't really make any difference at this point. So I do feel like I kind of carried that grudge into the Testaments and reading this new series. But it was really great to kind of get to hear her side of things, to break into her humanity a little bit more and see everything that she has done to ensure, hopefully, freedom for the future generations. Upon making this video, I've already deleted several recordings where I really couldn't figure out how many spoilers I wanted to get into. How much should we approach this from a point of having just absolute zero knowledge about this story, what happened, who these characters are, and what's going to happen in the show? Honestly, I would love your opinion. Have you read the Testaments? If I make future videos on this series, which I definitely will be, do you want me to kind of go into this not knowing what's gonna happen and just speculating on things and not really giving away a lot of spoilers? Or would you like me to explore the themes of the show and what's happening with the knowledge of the novel in mind? Please let me know. I will just say for the rest of this video, there will be some spoilers, but I promise I'm gonna try not to go too deep into any of them so that we can just keep this really high level. And with that, let's review the trailer. Agnes is narrating, and she's explaining what her life looked like growing up in Gilead. Her dollhouse, the dolls in it, the roles they played, the roles she played. We see the front of her house with all of the wives in training lining up for what we can assume is a visitor. We get flashes of Marthas doing their jobs, commanders leading seemingly important meetings, and schoolgirls who are on their way to, of course, learn how to ultimately be the best wife one day, are seen laughing and joking as if this is all normal, as if this is just what every day is like in the happy place of Gilead. The girls compliment each other on their hair, and Shunammite jokes that she has bedhead. The three girls seen here will be three of our primary characters for the show. Shunammite is played by the amazing Rowan Blanchard, who you likely know and love as the former star of Girl Meets World. Agnes's other friend is Becca, played by Matea Conforti. Agnes explains that back then, when she was little, it was easier to believe in the world of Gilead, believe in the world at all, rather than accept the truth that she is surrounded by monsters. We see Aunt Lydia in Ardua Hall, where a large portion of this story will take place. Aunt Lydia is introducing a girl named Daisy to Agnes and Becca. Shunammite asks Daisy where she comes from, and Daisy explains that she's from Canada. And Agnes appears to be very suspicious of that. We see a series of what appears to be rituals take place, and we hear Aunt Lydia explain that they have gathered there tonight to return these women to their rightful place. And we see Daisy express that she needs to save those girls, which we know from the novel means marriage for these young girls, despite how disgusting that is. But if you're familiar with The Handmaid's Tale, that won't be surprising to you. At this point, the trailer gets darker. We see a man say to someone that you just need to get close to her. We see Becca tell Agnes that Agnes has changed since what we can presume, at least, is Daisy has been around her. And Agnes expresses, can't that be a good thing? We then see a man getting dragged away, people being held up at gunpoint, and what appears to be a full war breaking out somewhere. The girls are seen being escorted out of a bus, and we hear Daisy saying, there comes a point where you have to take action. You have to choose your own destiny. We then hear a character say that we need to destroy everything, and Agnes saying, we didn't know what we were capable of. As a series of flashes with our characters in distress plays out throughout the rest of the trailer. I felt like this trailer was a really great setup for the series. It didn't give too much away, but showed a ton of tension and really showed us an introduction to our characters, mainly to these young women and what their life has been like in Gilead and what growing up there is like for them. Their journey into adulthood is about to take a very dramatic turn. Some spoilers ahead as I give some reactions to this. I think it's good just to note that just like The Handmaid's Tale was a series that was being told by June, The Testaments is a story that's being told by these three characters I've mentioned, Aunt Lydia, Agnes, and Daisy. The Testaments novel itself is just one book, but thankfully, we have not been told that The Testaments will only be one season. And we know that The Handmaid's Tale was a massive franchise for Hulu, so I think it's pretty safe to say that unless it's a major flop of a series, that we're probably going to get more than one season. Because of that, I'm pretty excited to see how this story in the show might vary a little bit from the book. Will we just get to explore more of the themes more? Will we get more of the characters' lives? Or does the show actually have plans to show us a life beyond what happens in the Testaments? You know, in the Testaments novel, these women are basically recounting the events of what happened during their time in Gilead. However, the story ends with an epilogue where it's now the year 2197, and there is a professor who is discussing the challenges in verifying the authenticity of the Ardua Hall holograph and the two witness account, meaning the holograph that was written by Aunt Lydia and the two witness transcripts being Agnes and Daisy. There is a lot more to these women's storylines, to the fall of Gilead, to the entire story of that world in general that we don't get from the Testaments novel. So I do wonder, will we get to explore beyond that? I kind of honestly hope so. Truly, as excited as I am for this show and to get to explore these characters, I'm really hopeful that we don't spend a ton of time in Gilead. The one season is all I need. I really wanted to see the fall of Gilead at the end of The Handmaid's Tale, and of course, because there's the Testaments to be told, we didn't get to see that. So I'm really hoping that this series can explore that a little bit more, you know? Set up our characters, give us all of these twists, show us the fall, show us everything Aunt Lydia and everyone does with Mayday and the Resistance to take down these horrible people. Drop a comment below and let me know, what are you guys excited about from this series? Have you read the novel? I think I'm going to do another video that really deep dives into a lot of things that would be pretty intense spoilers. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more. Thank you all so much for watching another episode of Screen Coven. I hope you're as excited to dive into the Testaments as I am. See you next time.